You're listening to the Show We Go Baseball podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 13 of To the Show We Go, featuring Ed Hand and myself, Andrew Parker. If you have not gotten a chance to check out episode 12 yet, we had Brendan Salucci on. He's a lefty that was in Portland this past year, all-around good Philly guy. He has his own podcast, and you definitely want to go check out the episode that we had with him, because he kind of talks about how he got into his podcast game and just his year that he had last year. And that kind of leads me into our guest today is another Portland Sea Dog teammate of his, Hunter Dobbins. And Hunter, I talked to you, I think, during the season. I think it was right after the All-Star break. I can't remember when it was, but I just wanted to kind of ask you, like, if you could describe your 2023 year, if you had any type of word for it, what would it be to you?
I think the simple way to put it would be fast. The first half of the season really felt like, as soon as I'd settled in, it was off to the next spot. I had to stay down and extended to kind of ramp up after got sick in spring training. And it felt like as soon as I got settled in Greenville, I think I had 6-ish starts there, up to Portland. And then once you get to Double-A, the game itself speeds up on you as well. So I think fast would be a great way to kind of represent it.
Yeah, congratulations on ending up in Double-A also. Now, you were a Sox Prospects 2023 All-Star, and something that I always wonder with you guys, how much do you follow that stuff? Like, not just like the awards, like the big league awards or like the MILB ones, but how much do you follow what the scouting sites are doing, what the fan sites are doing?
I personally don't. I try to kind of stay away from it in season. All of the Red Sox sites do a great job of covering us, kind of shouting us out, giving the fans kind of a deep dive into us players personally. It's kind of cool to look back at, before and after the season, kind of see the strides you made, kind of see your name start to circulate out there a little more. But I personally, like I said, I try to stay focused on baseball itself. But on Twitter, seeing the updates, it's a lot of fun to see.
And what was it like this year? Obviously you had just mentioned it, that you had started off at extended just to kind of ramp back up. And then when you got to Greenville, it seemed like you didn't even blink and you were just dominating down there. What was that stretch like when you were in Greenville earlier this year, just like absolutely putting up great numbers?
It was a lot of fun. I was surrounded by a great group of guys down there. I want to say majority of our rotation that was there ended up being our final rotation in Portland. It felt like, kind of going back to the Sox Prospects things, it felt like a Greenville pitcher every week was getting pitcher of the week, and we were just on an absolute tear. It was fun to finally, get out of extended, get out of Florida where it was hot, get into Greenville where it's absolutely beautiful, and just being able to settle into my groove. Started mixing my pitches really well. Velo started to climb, and just once I found that feel, it was a lot of fun. Had a couple humbling experiences in there. Didn't let me get too high, but definitely got me moving in the right direction to head up to Portland.
Yeah, now, I remember talking to you a little bit in the middle of the season, and you were saying that this is one of the best rotations that you've ever been a part of. Did this continue into Portland? And what about this group has been so special from your perspective?
Kind of answer your second question first. I think what made us so special was we learned from each other. The rotation itself was super close. We all hang out. We all love each other. It's a lot of fun. But we're not afraid to share information. We talk to each other about pitch scripts, our thought process, our mentality going against certain hitters. And then on the scouting side, like the information we share is like, hey, I faced this guy yesterday. He was really looking to do this against this pitch. So be aware of that and use that information. And so I feel like we just communicated really well, and that allowed us all to build off of each other. Now, carrying that over from Greenville to Portland, it was a lot of fun, especially once all those guys got up there. But I will also say, like, when I was in Portland, when I first got moved up, and we had Gambrell, we had Van Bell, Liu, it was almost like we didn't even skip a beat. It was the same thing. It just really feels like starting pitchers and really the upper levels, Greenville. I didn't know many of the Salem guys this year, so I hope it was the same way. But we share information a lot. We're all really close, and hopefully that will continue as we all trend to the upper levels and into the big leagues.
You were kind of talking a lot about the pitching side, and I wanted to get your thoughts on. You were surrounded by almost, I would say, a majority of the top 10 prospects in the system, in Roman Anthony, Kyle Teel, Marcel Meyer. What was it like, I guess, being around those guys, and I guess just watching them play every day, and even pitching in front of them?
It's a lot of fun. Pitching in front of them is one of those, you look around, you see Teel behind the dish, you see Hickey behind the dish, you see all those prospect guys behind you, and you're like, man, like, I kind of want to let them try to hit it and just see if they can actually get it past our guys, because I don't think they can. And they're all great guys too, great guys to be around in the locker room. We have a true family feel, which I feel is kind of rare in minor league baseball, because you're all fighting for the same spots. You're all trying to, you're fighting for that promotion. But we have the best way I've explained it is college feel, because, in college it's truly one family, one goal. And I feel like we all had that same kind of bond, which I think is going to be huge for down the road. And, player keeping the vibes right in the locker rooms for the future. And I'll kind of to piggyback off of that, I'll say it was like even our, I guess, non-prospect guys, like all of our other guys that have been moved up. It's everybody across the board. Everybody has that great feel, family feel, and we all want the best for each other.
How is as far as Teel coming up, and it's kind of seems nuts almost. I don't remember the last time the Red Sox had someone that got drafted and then ended the season in Double-A like him. As far as pitching to him, was there any difference between him and somebody who'd been there for the whole season, or somebody that had really been through the minors for a while? It feels almost like the minors have changed a little bit, where if you're a very polished college player, you kind of have an edge over people. Where was Teel at there, and how was it throwing to him?
Throwing to him, we didn't skip a beat. The guy works as hard as anybody behind the dish to block the ball. If we were going for a put away and I needed to bounce the baseball, I had no hesitation about doing it. He called a pretty good game. I think that's where the one side where the guys that I'd thrown to all year, they knew my stuff really well. Knew my strengths. Which I didn't expect him to know that. I think he caught me twice. You can't learn a pitcher in 2 times catching him. I want to say that even his first time catching me, he didn't even get to catch my bullpen that week. So the first time he literally saw me was in the pregame pen, and that's a tough task, especially when my changeup is basically a firm knuckleball that sometimes moves like a slider. That's a big ask to have a catcher go and knock it down, and he did a great job. So, it's definitely fun throwing to him, and hopefully that's my catcher for a long time coming.
And you mentioned earlier, names like Van Bell and Gambrel who got called up to Worcester in the season. Did you still like keep in contact with those guys? Just maybe pick their brain about like what they saw when they got promoted?
Yeah. I talked to Gambrell quite a bit. When he was rehabbing with his heel, I was doing my TJ stuff, so we got pretty close. I'm actually mad at him right now because he denied a trade request in one of our fantasy leagues. So I don't want to talk to him right now. But
Are you in the Portland Fantasy Football League, by the way?
I'm in one of them. I'm not in the one that has the coaches and all that in it.
Okay.
No, I'm in a different one that has it's more of kind of spans over the whole farm system, like Brendan Nails in it. Gambrell's the commissioner, which was a mistake because he keeps on denying my stuff. I think I send him a new trade request every week and he just sends it back. But to go back to it, I mean, when Van Bell was in Portland with me, I picked his brain. You definitely message those guys like, "Hey, what's AAA like? Like what's the not only the baseball side, but what's the lifestyle like?" And they gave us some good insight and got us kind of looking forward to it, and kind of gives you a little extra motivation to get up there.
Are you looking forward to it all? Well, I was in Worcester this whole past year covering the team, and are you excited to get in the Texas corner of the locker room once you get up there?
Absolutely. I'm tired of fighting alone. I guess I had Philip Sykes in my corner once I got to Portland, but the In and Out versus Whataburger debate is a hot one every time it gets brought up. And I think we're starting to get Chris Troy to start to lean a little bit more towards Whataburger. I've been working on him for about 2 years now.
Really? Yeah, because he's from California.
Yeah, he's probably the most Texan Californian I've ever met. So
interesting.
I'm working on him. Hopefully we can kind of finish it off next year and get him a full Whataburger guy.
If you have Shug in your corner, you can do anything. I think Shug he's convinced me that I think I like Texas more than anywhere else in the country just this past year alone. So
that's a great stance to have. I mean, there's nowhere better.
Are you more of a Rangers fan or an Astros fan? Just with this ALCS, which has been a lot of fun to watch. Like, which one are you leaning towards?
I'm honestly torn right down the middle. I never let myself become a fan of a pro team growing up, just because I knew I wanted to play pro baseball, so to make it a little easier. But the guy who wore number 42 at Tech before me is a reliever for the Astros. But my third baseman at Tech, my freshman year, is Josh Young, the third baseman for the Rangers. So it's like I really don't know who to cheer for. I guess I'm happy either way and sad either way. I guess I would probably say I want the Rangers to win it since the Astros already got one recently. But I'm starting to feel like the Rangers are going to win it because it seems like whoever's at home can't win a game right now.
I wanted to ask about that too. You kind of mentioned your Texas Tech days, and I don't know if I've asked you this question or if I've seen the answer, but you grew up right next door to College Station.
Yes.
So why not Texas A&M?
That's a long answer. I'll just leave it at I was better suited and fit in better in Lubbock. I wish I would have had the chance to play A&M while I was here. Schedules didn't work out, COVID and all that. But I'll just leave it at that. I'm happy I came to Tech. Happy I live in Lubbock, and hopefully we beat A&M any chance we get in any sport.
And I was going to ask you too. How is watching? I'm a Mizzou guy, so we're finally good for the first time in a long time. So I get when your football team isn't as good as you want it to, but is it hard right now watching Texas Tech football?
For some people, like Tech fans, it's gotten pretty hard. I I thought we'd be better than we are right now, but I didn't expect us to be great just because we have the second year head coach. He's still building. Plus, whenever your starting quarterback goes down to a broken leg, then your backup quarterback that's starting to play well, he goes down to hurt, gets hurt. It's tough to win. So I take it with a grain of salt, and I still watch the game, still support them, but basketball season's around the corner, so we'll get excited for that.
Yeah, so going back to we were talking before that you had Tommy John a couple years back, and it's been 2 years now. You came into this season pretty fresh, and it seemed like you were going 7 innings a lot of the time, 6 innings, 7 innings every outing. How's your arm feeling now compared to even like before the surgery? How was the fatigue come the end of the season?
Honestly, it feels great. From pre-surgery, it's night and day. I'm stronger, healthier. Take shoulder stuff a lot more serious. A lot of arm farm days, getting some meat on the bones, getting ready. But I'll remember going back to even after the last game of the year, I was talking to our pitching coach in Portland. I was like, I feel like I got plenty more in the tank. I was like, obviously mentally you're kind of beat down, you're wore down, you're ready to go home. Because playing that many games for the first time in my career, it was a long one, but arm and body wise, I felt like I was good. I was ready to go. I was happy I could be kind of that innings eater guy. I hope I can continue that trend and be that guy in Boston that, I'll go and throw 5-6 innings and give the team a chance to win and just kind of be that steady hand, and hopefully that trend keeps going. But I'm looking forward to the challenges of trying to get to 150 innings next year.
I'm kind of switching topics here. How close are you in your draft class to this day?
Oof. Like, how close am I to those guys?
Yeah, like, do you guys still talk all the time? Like, do you still have some group texts with the guys?
So I'm not a group text guy. As soon as I get put in one, I leave it. But yeah, I'll still reach out to all the guys. I still talk to like Kier. I'll talk to Tyler Miller every now and then. And then, it honestly helps that a lot of our draft class is in AA and was in Greenville. I'll say that 21 draft class, I think as a whole, we're all still really tight.
Yeah, I kind of noticed too. And I think I may have wrote something on it when Nico got called up to Worcester this year. He was the first one out of that draft class. And I was kind of looking at him like, all these guys are like right here in Portland for the most part. It's like these guys are all going to be probably in Worcester at some point next year. So it is kind of cool to see that you guys have all you guys are almost all at the same level. I think you're probably just missing like 2 guys right now, but it has been cool compared to some of the other draft classes, just how most of you guys are still together and you're probably going to come up next year. So that is strange though. You're not a group text guy, just too many notifications or what?
I think it goes back to like even my high school days. It was, I'm not a big group of people person. I have my 1 or 2 guys that, I'll be in a group text with 2 or 3 others, but when you start throwing in 15, 20 guys and it just blows up the phone, I immediately leave. It's just, the notifications aggravate me. And I've even tried like silencing it and going back and reading it later once they're done. But you look at it, it's like 120 messages, and you're just like, no, I'm not a reader. I'd rather just leave.
Yeah, I totally understand that there. I like my phone for a while, for whatever reason, I couldn't even get group texts. And if I tried to reply to it, it would just be to like one person and no one else in it would get it. So I gave up on those kind of a while ago. But totally different topic here. You get to see a lot of pretty good relievers there in AA. We were talking about Brendan Salucci earlier, but and Christopher Troy, but there's also Alex Hoppy. You got Luis Guerrero there as the closer for most of the season. Ryan Zefferhan, Ryan Fernandez. Who do you think of that group? And this is ignoring all of the intangibles. Who has just the nastiest pure stuff of the relievers that you got to work with this season?
Just pure stuff. I'd probably have to go with Guerrero. That splitter of his is absolutely insane. To go with the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and then he's starting to figure out a slider that's just absolutely nasty. It's so like pure stuff. I'll go with him, and then honestly up there, kind of a guy that's kind of under the radar, but like he's Mr. Consistent and his stuff is pretty good. Is Dylan Spakey?
Yeah, he had very under the radar good season.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that was like, as a starter, I knew that if I had a rough one and I saw him coming down out of the bullpen, he was going to give our team, 2-3 innings of solid work, and we could really count on him. And I mean, honestly, there wasn't a guy in that Portland bullpen that I didn't trust to come in and get outs. I mean, that's if I had two, like first and second, one out, and I get pulled, I trusted every single guy in that pen to come and get me out of it. But I'd say he's kind of that guy that surprised me and was a lot of fun to watch.
Are you keeping track of any of the your current teammates in the AFL right now?
I've seen Troy's stuff a couple times. I haven't been keeping up as much as I probably should. I've been trying to kind of unplug from baseball other than the playoffs, just for a little bit, just because, I'm hitting the weight room hard right now, still throwing a little bit, but I know here in a couple weeks it starts to ramp back up. So been trying to unplug while I can.
Do you? What are your off-season plans? Just aside from just like throwing, like keeping the arm in shape and hitting the weight room, like what are you going to be up to?
Really nothing. Just at home, enjoying time with the wife, giving some pitching lessons here and there, helping with some high school teams and some travel teams out here. But just trying to relax, playing a lot of golf, get the body and the mind right to hopefully make a big league push next year.
Well, I have I'm going to go non-baseball here for a second. It's one of Ed's favorite segments that I do. It's just a very random consortment. Like my brain, I'm like, if I'm going to talk to him, I want to ask him these questions just because I will never know the answer otherwise. So there's no wrong answers unless you're a few of the guys before you that I think Bradley Blaylock may have messed up. And I'm going to ask this question to everybody now, Ed. I have to. Just because
I know which one you're talking about.
Exactly. Everybody has a strong opinion on it. And I'm curious to see what now our first Texas guy we've done this offseason.
Is it Chipotle or Moe's?
No.
Close. You're close.
It's well, what is your answer for that?
Oh, Chipotle.
Okay.
Chipotle, 1,000%.
100% agree with you there.
I feel like nobody would say Moe's though, right? Like I feel like that's not like a.
You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked.
Okay.
I'm surprised. Maybe controversial opinion here. I'm surprised people like Moe's. So
I'm right there with you. It feels like bargain bin Chipotle.
That's a No, it's like like Walmart brand or something. Exactly.
Yeah. I've never met anybody that's told me that Moe's is their favorite compared to the two, so I didn't even have that question down, to be honest. But the first one is controversial because I've heard different answers. But what's your favorite fast food chicken place?
Have y'all ever had Chicken Express?
That's a new one. I have not.
I'm not sure if it's Texas only. I think it's just kind of southern. But it's Chicken Express. They have sweet tea that the best way I've heard it put will put you in a diabetic coma, even if you're not a diabetic. It's definitely the sweetest I've ever had in my life, but it's amazing. Have you ever heard of corn nuggets?
This is something
So
new to me.
I think I've had those before.
it's like cream corn, and it's kind of fried on the outside.
Yeah,
It's amazing. But yeah,
I've never heard
it'd
of
be
it.
Chicken Express.
Chicken Express. All right. Yeah. It's only been between like Chick-fil-A, Zaxby's, which is my favorite, but Cane's is also a good one. I feel like a lot.
Cane's is up there, but if I'm like thinking real chicken, I'm thinking like a true, genuine fried chicken place, not really a Chick-fil-A. Cane's and Zaxby's are both amazing in their own aspects, but now if I'm thinking fast food chicken, I want like good Southern styled fried chicken.
All right. Chicken Express. It has to be just a Texas thing because I've lived in Georgia before and I didn't see any down there. So
No, and there's not any in Florida. I'm thinking maybe it's just like a Texas, Louisiana thing.
okay.
So if you're ever in Texas, think about going and get you some.
I'm gonna write that one down. But that was the first person that's maybe if I ask, maybe Suge would also give me the same answer. You think?
I think if you ask Suge on his opinion on Chicken Express, it'd be good things.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I ask him that one because we'll talk to him at some point this offseason. The next one, I want you to rank the 3 worst Texas college fan bases, just in Texas.
You're trying to give me thought here. All right. I'm gonna go UT and Texas A&M are tied for 1. They're tied for 1. After that, I'd probably go like Baylor just because they're kind of non-existent. If their football team's good that year, they come out of the woods out of nowhere. If they're bad, you'll never hear a word from them. And then 3, just because I want Philip Sykes to hear it, is TCU. They're up there. They're that fan base that acts like they've won it all 100 times, but they're right there with us right now. They're not great. They'll have a flash in the pan moment, but other than that, they're not great. But the best is by far is the Red Raiders. Even when we're terrible, we're passionate, we're still going to let you hear it like we're in first place. We're just you can't match us.
I am surprised about the TCU thing. I feel like I never really hear much about like I mean, obviously they were good at football like a few years back, I feel like, but yeah, I know obviously shout out to Philip Sykes there, but
it's honestly kind of an under the radar rivalry that's kind of sprung up the last few years. And I think it started with baseball because TCU and Tech were kind of the top dogs. Then it carried over to basketball, and it's pretty 50-50, I feel like, in football. So, I mean, it just kind of carried over. But, yeah, it's a budding rivalry, and I think it'll be fun.
Can I get the quick thoughts on Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12? What do you think about that? Are you like, good riddance, or are you kind of like going to miss the rivalry there?
Good riddance for Texas leaving. They don't deserve it because they couldn't even win in the Big 12. OU 1000% deserves it. They've been dominant for a long time. I'm actually excited to see what they do in the SEC. I'm kind of a Boomer Sooner fan, just from the kind of when I was growing up, went to a few of their baseball games, stuff like that. But yeah, Texas, I can't wait to watch them get absolutely curb stomped every year by everybody. They don't deserve it, but they're somebody else's problem now, and so good riddance.
I feel like I'm not going to clip any of those because I don't want to trigger any of there's Longhorns people everywhere, man. It's
do it. I'll take them on any day.
When I hate the Longhorns from the Texas Bowl a few years back when Mizzou played. Drew Lock was slinging it everywhere, and we still lost. And Tom Herman was like out there just acting like a fool. And I'm like, I'm not a big Texas guy, so like UT guy. It's a no for me.
I'll put it this way: Texas and Texas A&M are up there on my pedestal with the Yankees on how much I dislike them. Like, wow. Those are the three teams that I just cannot stand.
Okay, so I need to make sure I don't tell Suge that, but then I'll say, hey, the Chicken Express thing. We'll keep the UT stuff out.
And, it's funny because like there's a lot of guys I know that have played at Texas, and I love them all, and I will tell them to their face that I cannot stand your university and most of the fans. Now, every fan base has that group of great people, but just overall, they're up there. I just can't do it.
Hey, people don't understand that in the Northeast. Like, there's not like that college like big rivalry. Like you have like Boston College, but then I guess like for hockey they do that, but for football it's not a thing up here. So it's always nice getting to talk to guys down in the South that are like this is what we breathe, you know.
Yeah, it gets petty down here too. Like I know on campus here at Tech, we have so our mascot's the masked rider. It's a rider on our horse, and we have a statue of the first one, and we purposely had the butt of the horse pointed directly at Texas A&M. Like they got the map, the compass out, and got it perfectly pointed right at their campus. It's just it's petty stuff like that that's just passionate.
I never even wow, that's good. I like that. That's a whole other level of petty there. I love that.
Yeah.
I had one more question that's kind of like a one-off here on the list. I've heard that you like to golf. So who are your top 3 favorite guys to golf with in the Red Sox system?
Well, one of them, actually 2 of them are no longer in the org. I used, when I was rehabbing from TJ, Thad Ward and I would go play golf like every other day. Then it was Blaylock. But I guess current would be Mullins. Hayden Mullins.
Hayden Mullins, yeah.
Yep. And then I'd probably say Ramsey is up there. And then one is a staff member, one of our equipment guys down in Florida. So he's a stick, and he's one of those guys will just kind of sneak up and get me every now and then. RJ Warner, he'll sneak up and get me. Mullins, I might need to be like more than intoxicated for him to beat me. Ramsey's out there to have a good time. They're getting better, but Mullins actually, I will say, he hit a hole-in-one the last time we played together, and that was pretty cool to watch because it was on a par 3 that I thought he had absolutely no chance. And he didn't even see it roll in. I had to tell him, like, hey, I think you just hit a hole-in-one, and he didn't believe it. He actually grabbed his putter and his wedge because he thought he was short of the green. And I was like, I don't think you need that. And then we walked up, and he looks everywhere around the green for his ball, and I was like, dude, just go look in the hole. And he walked over and he lost it, but it was really cool to be out there with him for that.
I think you're the second guy that's talked about golfing with Hayden Mullins. That Nathan Landry who was talking about. Landry was talking about how bad he was, how himself was, but yeah, he's talking about golfing with Mullins was like a good thing. But I told him, I was like, he's an Auburn guy. He lives in the South. Like their golfing is a year-long thing. But up in Canada, I was like, don't worry about trying to beat these guys.
Yeah, it's a little unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know for a fact, like, January 1st will roll around, and I'll still be out golfing in a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. So we definitely need to play a lot more.
Yeah. I will say you're going to fit in very nicely in the Woo Sox locker room. There was a pair of clubs every day. It seemed like over the summer. Brendan Nail was like showing off his new clubs up there. Suge was always talking about it. Even Narciso Crook was always talking about going golfing at these like really nice courses around Boston. I guess they had an inn at Belmont Country Club, and I was like, dude, I live right next door to that, and I couldn't even imagine sniffing that place.
Dude, when you say Belmont, my house is literally like where I just moved to is like connected to it. It's literally my backyard.
It's a nice course, man. And the Woo Sox have an inn there apparently, so they were golfing there quite a bit. So, But yeah, I mean, that's what I had for the random questions here, Ed. Do you have any follow-ups?
I've got one to add to that because we're talking. You're always asking about the food down south, but what was your favorite place to eat in Portland?
That's a tough one. I love the porthole. Breakfast, dinner, everything was great. There's one lobster place up there. It starts with an L. I can't remember the name of it for some reason. Oh, it might have been Landry's Lobster or something like that, but it started with an L.
That rings a bell.
Yeah, but that was where I had my first lobster roll, and it was absolutely amazing. And if I'm back in Portland, that'll probably be the first place I go.
I'm gonna have to make a note of that one. I think I've been to a few of them down there by the water, but my fiance is always talking about High Roller, but there's always like a line that's like 40 minutes long there, so they don't take reservations. Yeah. Like, come on.
No, first come, first serve.
Yeah, no, it's legit. It's like I did have one for you actually. I wanted to ask because I grew up in St. Louis. We're pretty good barbecue place. What is your go-to like barbecue meat of choice?
Oh, brisket.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't say brisket, you're wrong.
There. Yeah, it's brisket all the way. You got to get a pound of brisket with a pulled pork sandwich with, you can go so many different sides, but that combo is just unmatched.
Yeah, I need to try Texas barbecue in my lifetime. I don't think I've ever tried it yet. I grew up in St. Louis. It's like we had decent.
Yeah. If you haven't had Texas barbecue, then you haven't had good barbecue.
Oh, man. Dude, you gotta. St. Louis is actually. I don't defend St. Louis very often, but I will say their barbecue is pretty up there. Them in Kansas City, man, it's pretty good.
Kansas City, and I've heard good things about St. Louis barbecue. Never had it. I've had Memphis barbecue, and it was pretty good. It's not Texas barbecue. If we have a place right outside of Lubbock up here that's like one of the best places in Texas. It's called Evie Mae's Barbecue, and there's always a line out the door, and it's just they cook it to where it literally melts in your mouth, and it's just amazing.
I picked the wrong day to wait on lunch. After this, I'm just like, I'm supposed to have dinner with my parents tonight, and I'm just like, man, do I stop somewhere on the way there and just get some brisket and pulled pork? Because I'm pretty hungry now.
I was gonna say, you've gotten the chicken talk and now the barbecue talk.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's you guys are torturing me a little bit here.
It always resorts to food, man. It always does. I don't know.
I have a baseball question for you, if you don't mind. Of anybody that you played with this season, you're pitching, you throw them a splitter or something and they hit it. Who do you want them to hit it to?
Oh, that's a tough one. All of the above. Defensively, I'd probably say, oh man, that's a tough one. You can't go wrong with any of our outfielders. I'd probably say Philip Sykes as an outfielder, because that for a while that guy was a walking highlight reel.
Oh my god, yeah, that catch that was on SportsCenter that he made was nuts.
Yeah, I just feel like if they hit it to him, there's a good chance it's going to involve him laying out in some way or robbing it. If we go infield, I'd probably go Chase Mydroth, just because same thing with him. I think for the last month and a half of the season, whether he was playing third or short, he was making either an over-the-shoulder catch or a chopper off the bag, bare-handing it and throwing the guy out at third or first. And it's like, so I'd probably say just for highlight reel and ESPN top 10 reasons, I'd go with those two.
Yeah, I feel like people underrated Mydroth's glove when he first came over, because he was like voted it was like the equivalent of Gold Glove for the league you guys are in. Him and Nick York both got that, actually.
Yeah, that was. I mean, York was Mr. Consistent. I mean, if it was hit to him, it was an out. 99.9% of the time, and it was. It's as a pitcher, if I saw the ball on the ground to that side, I was like, all right, well, on to the next hitter. Um, and back to Chase, he was definitely slept on. I mean, he's another guy as a pitcher. I see him standing behind me, even when he had to slide over to short. When Cello went down, we didn't skip a beat because I knew. I mean, he's got a great glove, great arm. You know, he reminds me of a lot of like a Pedroia type player. I mean, just he's gonna get the job done. He's gonna find a way to do it. You don't got to worry about him, and he's gonna be there for you.
Yeah, it's an interesting comment. It's tough. It's like Cedar Rafaela getting compared to Mookie Betts because similar size and everything. But I do think that people underestimate Maedra for the exact same reason they underestimated Pedroia. He doesn't necessarily look like your big, strong baseball player, but he's steady.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny is like when he first came up to Salem last year. We'd heard all of the draft rumors, like, oh, like we'll see how his pop is, like, he's gonna be scrappy. And I remember I want to say it was the first pitch he saw in Salem. He hit it like 380 over the left field wall, and we're like, well, that answers that question. And he's one of those guys. If you throw him a mistake, he's going to crush it. But if you execute your pitches, there's still a very high chance he's going to put the pressure on your defense. And as a starting pitcher, that's all you can ask for out of your offense.
You don't hear a lot. Does he have that like chip on his shoulder that Pedroia had, or is he more of like calm, cool, and collected?
I would say personality wise, he's more calm, cool, collected, but you can tell he has that chip on his shoulder with his work ethic, the way he goes about the game. Like, he's not going to be as intense as Pedroia was, but he's going to hold you accountable. He's going to push you, and you don't have to worry about him skipping out on anything. He's putting in the work, and he's going to be ready.
Ed, I don't know if we've taken up 42 minutes of Hunter's time here on a football Sunday, so I definitely want to get you back, to watching the games and everything. I guess my final question is like, I get why you're a Chiefs fan, but why? So you're just not a Texans fan at all?
No. So my dad's a Cowboys fan. I think when I was born and kind of growing up, they were just trash. So never really took to them. And then my mom's side of the family's from Kansas, so they're all Chiefs fans. So I watched the games with them. I started to enjoy it. And then, so I guess I became a Chiefs fan then. And then all of a sudden I came to Tech and obviously Pat Mahomes and all that. And so it just kind of reinforced it. You won't catch me ever wearing a Texans jersey or a Cowboys jersey. I was briefly a Broncos fan just because growing up, I idolized Peyton Manning. But thank the Lord when he retired, I didn't have to cheer for them anymore. And so I think I'm just going to stick to my Chiefs and, enjoy the ride we're on. And hopefully we never go back to, where we were about a decade and a half ago. Hopefully we I wouldn't mind winning Super Bowls for the rest of my life, but I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, us people in New England, well, we understand that there is an end. It will end eventually, and then it's a rock bottom, is what it is. But Hunter, we appreciate the time. And like I said, I understood why you were a Chiefs guy, but whenever you messaged me that, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, all right, I'm guessing you're just a Chiefs guy because of Mahomes, obviously at Tech, but that it all makes sense there. But we appreciate the time, and obviously we've been rooting for you all year, and hoping to see you in Worcester next year. So I definitely appreciate the time.
No, I appreciate y'all having me on. It's always fun talking to y'all, and appreciate the coverage y'all provide all of us guys throughout the year.
Absolutely. Pleasure seeing you again, as always. Hope you have a great off season.